1938, Thomas Lanier Williams, a 27-year-old creative writing student, wrote a living newspaper-inspired play. For this play, the young author signed his name, Tennessee Williams. However, this was not the Tennessee Williams who won a Pulitzer Prize, was canonized for brilliant, wonderful plays. This was the young and mature artist, Tennessee Williams. As one Broadway critic observed, in Not About Nightingales, we see the young Williams who has not yet learned how to distill emotions to their essence, or how to both figuratively and literally tell the truth. This Williams is adept at telling us what is going on, but cannot yet tell us in the attempt to understand of the why of it all. This controversial play focused on a hunger strike in a local Pennsylvania prison. And as Look magazine reported, one day in late August, 650 inmates of the Philadelphia County Prison struck against a monotonous diet. 3 days later, the naked, tortured bodies of 4 prisoners were found in an airtight cell. An investigation was launched. Prison guards and officers were arrested. The American public was shocked to learn that a hot steam treatment had been given to 25 unruly prisoners. A cry for justice arose. For 60 years, the play lay silent in the Tennessee Williams archives, silent in dust, silent in the shadowed elite institutions known as the archive, a place of darkness where more appealing Tennessee Williams plays were taken off the shelf, more appropriate, more public plays that could be displayed. We call them public displays of art. Sometimes art gets us a little riled up. It gets us a little upset. As an artist, I can honestly say I've been way too silent. In this early stages of this play, the name bore the title, The Rest is Silence. Until Vanessa Redgraves read Tennessee Williams' own words, I have never written anything since that competes with this in violence and horror, for it was based on something that actually occurred. This play found me in the midst of my own silent complacency, silent about the Christianity that hurts so many and continues to hurt so many, silent about my Christian upbringing, ashamed of the doctrine, ashamed that the preachers could not practice what they were preaching at the pulpit, ashamed to be a little white girl who didn't see herself as a little white Southern girl, but as a child of Jesus Christ. Silent because of the complicated nature of the Bible. How in the world could I explain to so many what this Bible meant to me when it oppressed my brothers and sisters, but at the same time liberated my brothers and sisters? I was stuck in a liminal in-between space that was so uncomfortable, I shut my mouth. Shut my mouth. I joined speech and debate. I became a nihilist in high school. Why not? It's Bozeman, Montana. It's freezing cold out there. There's nothing to do in wintertime except fall on skis. That's all I knew how to do on skis was fall. You know, you have 2 poles. There's a liminal space that can determine if you stand upright or if you fall. I was falling, and I was falling hard down those mountains. So when I joined speech and debate, I realized that I could preach about social justice, but not mention Christianity once. I didn't want to offend people. I didn't want to say Jesus because Jesus offends people. Jesus lived an entire life that offended other people. He wasn't trying to just cause a riot. He was trying to cause systemic change. Systemic change in our hearts to let us know that you are a child of God. You are a persecutor, but you are also the liberator. You are both and. In this silence, Tennessee Williams' play spoke to me from a shelf. In the voice of a character simply known as Chaplin. Chaplin refuses to be silent. He tells the warden directly, there have been too many suicides, several drownings, hangings, so-called accidents since I've been here. Now it appears that we're in danger of having a mass suicide in Hall C. To which his boss, the warden, responds, now I'm beginning to suspect who's responsible for all the wild stories that have been leaking out to the public about things in here. I'm afraid you are what the boys call a stool pigeon, Reverend. Chaplain does not hesitate. I am a conscientious steward of Jesus Christ, and as such, I protest against the inhuman treatment of convicts in this prison. For me, chaplain is Paul, Silas, the prisoners, the woman who's silenced at the beginning by Paul, the prophet. Where is her voice in all this silence? She was fortune-telling that Paul and Silas were coming. Do you think maybe they silenced her because what they really wanted her to say was, Jesus is coming? But perhaps they were too scared to admit that if they exposed themselves as followers of Jesus Christ, they would be persecuted. But no, not quite. It gets a little more complicated because then we see Paul and Silas arrested for their faith. Flash forward to the part that I really want to focus on here, about how to break the silence. When morning came, the magistrate sent the police saying, "Let those men go." And the jailer reported the message to Paul saying, "The magistrate sent word to let you go. Therefore come out now and go in peace." But Paul replied, "They have beaten us in public, uncondemned men who are Roman citizens, and have thrown us into prison. And now they are going to discharge us in secret. Certainly not. Then let them come and take us out themselves." Public testimony is a terrifying thing, but silence is far more terrifying. Silence means that you are willing to stand back and not necessarily take action, but silence also means that there is no complete silence. Even silence has a sound. Silence is terrifying. Even at my best extroverted moments, I have to find time for the silence. The earth-shaking silence, the earthquake that tears the chains and shackles off our hands and feet and liberates us. See, as a child of God, I used to think that it would be really easy just to get up and say whatever I was feeling, and that people would listen to me because I was compelling and I could do all the tricks and I knew the perfect introduction and I knew exactly how to deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech and not go over time. Not once did I mention Jesus. For that I am ashamed. Ashamed that I could not see the Christ in everyone else around me, that I hid the Christ in myself. Our Jesus Christ is one that holds us in those silent, those awkward silences, those silences that are so loud they shake this earth. And it is my prayer that as young people of Christ, people who embody the message, that we understand that silence, it's okay. It's okay to be silent, but it's also okay to speak up when it's right. There is a right time. Jesus comes at just the right time. It was in my silent moments that God came to me and said, "Speak up." So brothers and sisters, speak up. Do not be afraid, for we are all with you. Thanks be to God.
Amen.